Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Just checking in on last week's work, this week's work, and our quiz from last week. So last week we talked about a few different things. We had reading from the textbook, chapters 15 and 16, but then we also talked a bit about um, stem cell fraud and organ donation, kind of a cadre of topics last week, different things going on. So we had our assignment based on the stem cell fraud issues that were in that 60 Minutes video. So hopefully you found that work for last week interesting. I think it's those definitely interesting topics to contemplate from an ethical standpoint, and then also kind of from a legal standpoint as well. So this week we have some additional reading, chapters 14 and 17 in our textbook, but we're going to learn a little bit about, mostly about Terry Schiavo this week. And so our discussion relates to Terry Schiavo, and then also our writing assignment this week has some relation to Terry Schiavo's situation. So Terry Schiavo case, many years old, many years old, but still an issue that we deal with today, and that the types of ethical dilemmas that were faced in that case are still problematic today. So how can we deal with that? She was a person that had a medical event secondary to something. Ultimately, it seemed that she was bulimic, and this caused her to have this medical event, which left her incapacitated. And and so the parents, her parents, she was an adult, was married, but her parents wanted her to be left on a feeding tube to continue on, I guess, in the hopes that perhaps at some point, they would have something that would help her or cure her. On the flip side, the husband was not interested in continuing that for years and years. So it's just an interesting case. There's a video that's linked here in the classroom, and then also obviously there's lots of readings on it that you can find online if you want to dig in a little bit further. So interesting topic for our discussion. And then similarly in our writing assignment this week, should adults be allowed to refuse life-sustaining treatment? Pregnant people, should they be able to refuse life-sustaining treatment for children, etc.? Or for their fetus, or even for adults and their children. So interesting topics to consider and think about from an ethical dilemma. A lot of these, there's not a right or wrong answer. I'm not looking for you to tell me, well, this is what is right. I want you to tell me what your thoughts are on the topic, and but then defend that. Like, tell me about that. Tell me why you think that's the case. And one person may say that they should be able to refuse, and other people may say you shouldn't be able to refuse. So, but don't just say, yeah, I think they should be able to refuse, but with no rationale behind that. So I'm looking for not only your answer to the question, but also some rationale behind why you think that's the case. It could be religious reasons, could be your own personal thoughts, it could be experiences you've had in the past, etc. So just interested to hear kind of a reflection on those questions and what your thoughts are. So let's go over the quiz. Just a couple this week. People did well in the quiz this week. So first question, negligent sterilization can occur when? And in this case, the answer was a blood vessel is mistakenly severed. So if the intent of the procedure was not sterilization, you could definitely, if a blood vessel is severed in, certain parts of the body, this could result in sterilization. So that's our answer there. And keep in mind that our questions do come mainly from the text. So it might not have been the topic. I often get a question on some of these, like, we didn't talk about that this week. But it does come from the text, and we're constantly reviewing the information from the textbook and being sure that you're not just absorbing what we're talking about in our discussion, etc., because that's just so limited. We want to make sure that you're reading the textbook and absorbing that info as well. So that's our answer for that one. This one, a person who has moral integrity and a strict regard for doing what is considered the right thing to do is a blank person. And so our answer is conscientious, B. So think of someone, if you think just of that word conscientious, what comes to mind? When I think of that word, I think of someone that has a great deal of ethical integrity, a moral compass that points in the right direction, to drive people to make good decisions, treat others well, follow the rules, do the right thing. So that would be a conscientious person. Now, someone can be truthful, but not be, not have a good regard for what's the right thing or the wrong thing. That was, I think, the other answer that was chosen was truthful. So you can be truthful, but have a low moral integrity. But someone that's conscientious is really that high moral integrity and does the right thing. So those are our questions for this week. I think that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know throughout the week. Otherwise, everyone have a great week, and we'll see you in the classroom. Thanks.